I don't know what it is, but over the last few months, I have been checking my phone more than ever. I've been picking my phone up between 100 to 150 times a day, and I've spent anywhere between 4 to 6 hours staring at my screen. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be the type of person that lives obsessively through their phone. So I thought it was time to go back to the basics and reinforce some of the things that I used to do to reduce my screen time. And I thought I'd share them with you so that you could do it too. So my first point is actually to be aware of where you're at right now. It's important to have a baseline measurement, and as horrifying as it is, knowing how many times you pick your phone up during the day and how much time you spend on your phone is really important to monitor any changes that you're going to make. So firstly, check your pickups. This is very self-explanatory, but it's the amount of times that you pick your phone up during the day. On an iPhone, when you go into pickups, not only does it tell you the amount of pickups you've had during the day, but the app that you have first used after that pickup as well, so that you can see where you spend most of your time. Once you know that, it's time to check your screen time. And this is the amount of time that you spend on your phone during the day. As I said before, mine is anywhere between 4 to 6 hours at the moment, which means that potentially I'm spending a quarter of my day staring at a very small screen. The great thing about checking this is that it actually breaks it down again into the apps that you're using the most, and it splits it into categories such as socials, productivity, and finance, so that you can see where you're spending most of your time. So once you have that information, and once you've taken a moment to get over how high it might be, now is the time to try and fix it. I have 5 key steps that are going to help both you and I to reduce our screen time together. My first top tip is to turn off your notifications. This is something I did a really long time ago, and it has worked so well for me. I turned off all my notifications on all social media, and the only things I really left notifications on for was emails for work purposes and WhatsApp if people needed to reach me. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok all have teams of experts essentially trying to draw you into their apps. If your phone isn't buzzing every 30 seconds, it's likely that you're going to check it way less. My second tip is to make your phone unattractive. And this means removing any time wasters. So any games that you don't really need, any apps that you don't really use, any social medias that you find are a bit useless. For me, mainly that's Facebook and TikTok. I find with TikTok, I scroll for hours and I get lost in a hole. No matter how cringy the content is, I can't seem to bring myself off it. And Facebook, I find myself scrolling and looking at lives of people who I met while I was on holiday 3 years ago and have never seen since, which is slightly irrelevant. The more distractions and things that are on your phone, the greater the temptation will be to pick it up. So make life easy for yourself and remove anything that you don't need. Number 3 is to set timers for certain apps. I have timers for all of my social media apps, which means that after a certain amount of time on them, I will get a warning on my screen saying that I have 5 minutes left, and then another warning saying that I've used up all my time for the day. Currently, my timers are set at 2 hours, which I know is still quite high, but I'm trying to stay realistic, which is really important when you're setting these goals and trying to create new habits. Eventually, I'd like to get this down to under an hour, but for now it's still a work in progress. What I would say about this tip is that it's not bulletproof, in the sense that there is a little button at the bottom of the screen that you can simply click allow more time, and that warning just goes away and allows you to continue scrolling. But for anyone who just loses track of time or might need to be more aware of what they're doing with their time, this is a great step. Tip number 4 is something that used to really work for me, which is to turn off mobile data for all of your apps. And this works better for when you're out of the house or you're somewhere that doesn't have Wi-Fi. But this essentially forces you to intentionally use an app. If you want to go on an app that requires mobile data or requires Wi-Fi, you have to go into settings and physically turn it on. And again, this isn't a foolproof tip, but it might just allow you to be a little bit more aware of what you're doing and how you're spending your time. This just adds friction to the whole process of using your phone and makes it one step harder to mindlessly scroll. My 5th and final tip is to put your phone out of sight. This is something that I definitely need to do more. Having your phone across the room and not in your pocket or in your hand makes it much less likely for you to use it randomly with no intentional purpose. So there you have it. Those are my tips for trying to reduce screen time and essentially give yourself a little bit of a digital detox. The way you're going to have the most success with all of these tips is to slowly introduce them. Like what I was saying about my limits on my apps, don't try and set yourself a 45-minute limit if currently you're spending 8 hours on your phone at a time. It's unrealistic and it's unlikely to work. If you can begin to slowly implement each step into your routine, you're much more likely to stick with it, and it's much more likely to become a habit. If you found this video useful or you have any tips that you might want to share, please drop me a comment below so that I can see what you do to help you reduce your screen time. And if you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit that button so that you can join my little family as we work towards creating a better you. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.